In a luxury apartment in Seoul, JUNGKOOK sat on the sofa with a weak body. His throat had been itchy since morning, and his body temperature had increased slightly. He thought it was just fatigue from a busy schedule, but his manager suggested a COVID test. After waiting 15 minutes, the antigen test results showed to red lines, positive. JUNGKOOK stared at the results with a frown. He immediately told his manager, who immediately contacted a personal doctor. "Hyung, I'm positive," he said in a hoarse voice as he called RM. "What, JUNGKOOK? How are you feeling?" RM asked worriedly. "A little feverish and a sore throat." RM sighed. "Get some rest. Don't worry about the schedule. Your health comes first." JUNGKOOK could only nod even though RM couldn't see him. He locked himself in his room, away from the staff and other BTS members. The first day, he just rested and drank a lot of water. However, that night, his fever rose to 39 degrees Celsius. The doctor who was called suggested that he continue to monitor his body temperature and take medicine. JUNGKOOK tried to sleep, but his body felt hot and sore. He grabbed his phone and opened the messages from the BTS members who were encouraging him. Day 2. JUNGKOOK's condition still hadn't improved. His body temperature was fluctuating, and he had lost his appetite. Usually, he really enjoyed food, but now everything felt bland. While lying in bed, he watched old BTS videos on YouTube. Seeing them together cheered him up a little. However, he couldn't help but miss practicing and performing with them. Day 3 and 4. The symptoms began to subside. JUNGKOOK was still coughing and feeling tired, but at least his fever had gone down. He started doing light stretches in his room so that his body wouldn't be too stiff. "Get well soon, Cookie." "We missed you in the practice room," J-Hope said. "I missed you guys too," JUNGKOOK replied, his voice still hoarse. Day 5 to 7. Finally, his body started to feel better. His coughing lessened, and his energy slowly returned. He started doing light vocal practice in his room, although his voice had not fully recovered. After a week of isolation, JUNGKOOK took another PCR test. The results were negative. He was finally able to meet the members again, although they remained cautious. "Don't start doing heavy training right away," Jin said, patting his shoulder. JUNGKOOK smiled. "Relax, Hyung. I'll come back stronger." They laughed together, and JUNGKOOK felt grateful to be back with his second family. This experience taught him to take better care of his health, even though he was very. The Seoul sky was gray. Light rain poured down on the window of the hospital room where JUNGKOOK lay weakly. His breath was labored, cold sweat beaded on his forehead. The virus was still in his body. They laughed together, and JUNGKOOK felt grateful to be back with his second family. This experience taught him to take better care of his health, even though he was very. The Seoul sky was gray. Light rain drizzled against the window of the hospital room where JUNGKOOK lay weakly. His breath was labored, cold sweat beaded on his forehead. The virus was still in his body. 3 months ago, the world changed. A deadly virus that had never been known to humans spread rapidly. People fell ill within days, and only a few survived. JUNGKOOK was one of those who survived, but at a high price. "JUNGKOOK, are you okay?" Hyunmin's soft voice interrupted his reverie. JUNGKOOK turned his head, his eyes dim. "I still feel it, like something is eating away at my body." The doctor said JUNGKOOK was past the critical period, but his recovery was slow. The virus had attacked not only his lungs, but also his nervous system. Sometimes, he felt like his body wasn't his own. That night, he woke up to a sharp pain in his chest. He coughed loudly, and something terrible happened. Black blood dripped from his lips. The alarm in the ICU sounded. The doctors rushed in, their faces tense. "Jungkook, hold on." Dr. Kim's voice sounded distant, as if there was an invisible wall between Jungkook and the real world. In his semi-conscious state, Jungkook felt his body changing. His hands were shaking violently, his pupils dilated. He looked at his reflection in the mirror. Black veins were crawling up his neck. The virus evolved. 3 days later, Jungkook woke up with a body that felt light, but strange. "I'm still alive," he whispered. Himon stood beside his bed with red eyes. "Yes, but there's something different, Jungkook." Jungkook looked at his hand. His skin was paler than usual, the faint black veins still visible. But more surprising, he felt stronger. The virus didn't kill you. Dr. Kim stared at him with an unreadable expression, but it changed you. Outside, the world was still in chaos. People keep falling. But now there's one big question. Is Jungkook the cure or a new threat?